Got a couple of offensive linemen. Patrick Mahomes will rework his contract, restructure it, basically converting roster bonus into signing bonus to save the Chiefs $17 million in cap space this year, will allow them to pursue those fixes they need on the offensive line. And in Tampa Bay, where the Buccaneers are the Super Bowl champions, having beaten Patrick Mahomes to do that, Tom Brady actually agreed last week to a contract extension of 1 year that'll keep him in Tampa through 2022. This, because of the way the NFL salary cap works, will free up $19 million in cap space for the Buccaneers this year as they try to keep their team together. The big one still for them, pass rusher Shaquille Barrett. They would like to get him signed before he hits the free agent market on Wednesday.
Yes, officially that would be Wednesday. Today is when the legal tampering period begins. And let me bring the crew back in here on Brady and the Bucs in particular. And Mike Tannenbaum, I can see you sort of shuddering because you've had this experience. Tom Brady reworks his contract, takes less money. His team manages to keep their players together, and they go to another Super Bowl. Dan Orlovsky, when you see what's going on in Tampa now, what do you think?
I think Tom Brady's going to be the first quarterback ever to have a chance to go 16-0, like a real chance to go 16-0 again. Their schedule is butter soft. I mean, they play the NFC East, they play the AFC East. I think their two toughest games will be the Rams and the Buffalo Bills. They're going to be favored in just about every game. I think they'll be favored in every single game. And one of those games, obviously, is going to be home against Buffalo. They got to go on the road to the Rams. We don't know what's going to happen in Atlanta, new head coach. The Bears don't have a quarterback right now. The Saints don't have a quarterback right now. I mentioned the NFC East. The Dolphins will be improved. But look at that schedule. Look how soft that is. This team's going to run it back, essentially. They probably are going to re-sign Shaq Barrett because of Brady giving them financial freedom. I think Tom Brady's going to be the second quarterback ever to go 16-0.
He's already the only quarterback ever
to do it twice.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's the only quarterback to do it. Technically, the Dolphins in 72 went 17-0, but that included the playoffs. So in the regular season, and to the point, and Mike T, you said it earlier, it's probably going to be a 17-game season. So they may have to go 17-0, not 16-0. But either way, Dominique, what do you think? Buccaneers unbeaten. You like it?
Come on, Dom.
I mean, I think it's possible, but I think it's unlikely because they don't care at this point. Like, it's hard to manufacture that level of intensity week in and week out. They know that their season is success if they win a championship, their season of failure if they do not. Tom Brady's done this before, and they lost the Super Bowl that year. I do not think that they will have the same level of focus week in and week out in order to win 16 or 17 games this season that you would need to do that, because they know that only season that matters for them, for Tom, for anybody in that locker room is the postseason.
What do you think?
You mean the most focused player we've ever seen in the NFL is not going to allow his team to stay focused? Like, I think Tom, here's the thing, Dom. He's done everything. He's done everything except go undefeated. I think like that is a thing that another notch in his belt. So, he's like I'm the first quarterback to ever go full season through undefeated.
I understand that he is able to do some superhuman things, but he is still human, and everybody else on that team is also human. So when you show up the day after the Super Bowl to do TV, you're a little more amped. You show up a little more excited, a little more prepared.
Always excited on television.
A little more prepared than when you just show up in a regular day in the offseason. That's my point. My point is you cannot fake that. You can't manufacture that enthusiasm. You can't manufacture that preparation. And at some point, they're going to have a slip up at some point in the season. I don't think this is crazy. Why are you talking to me like I'm the one that's making the outlandish hot take? You're the one that's saying that they're never going to lose another game in the history of the world. You're the one that needs to defend yourself, not me.
I gave you the schedule. Who on the schedule? Can you sit there and go, yeah, they got a chance to beat them, like a real chance, Dom? Now I know everyone has a chance.
Okay, sure. Let me explain something to you about professional football, Dan Orlovsky. There are a lot of really good players in the game. And every week
shocking.
that you play, there's this saying. I know you like to make up your own idioms, like it takes three to tango. Any given Sunday is a saying that us football players say. It's a real thing. It could happen. So put something on it then, Dan. This is all talk to me. Put your money where your mouth is.
You didn't answer my question. You didn't answer my question. Who do you think is going to beat them? Give me the team that you can sit there.
Any of them. You're the one that said they're going to go undefeated. So you're the one. Put your money where your mouth is, Dan. Don't talk about it. Be about it. If they don't go 17-0, slap yourself in the face with an egg like you did last week. I don't know what the bet is, but I know that if you really believe it, you're going to put some money on it or put something real on it, not just making hot takes so the fans will watch the show. You're just making hot takes for fun.
Oh, we're talking about takes now. We're talking about hot takes. All right, this is what I'm going to do because I like getting challenged. Dom, I'll bet you $100 that the Bucks finish the regular season. Bucks, you get it? $100 bucks. They finish the regular season 17-0. If they do, you owe me $100. 10-1 odds.
You know what that's called, Greeny? That's called a small wager for a guy like Dan Orlovsky. Okay, I'll take it. We'll do it. We'll do it. Shake on it. Artificial shake. There
and I bet you that UConn beats Maryland on Friday night.
What?
Okay.
You
now we're losing
lies.
control. Tannenbaum, real quick, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd like to bring a little sense to this conversation. I think the NFC is down. And when you think about Green Bay is really the one team that checks all the boxes that could really be there at the end with Tampa, just considering the turmoil in Seattle and all the other turnover with the Rams. So maybe I can't go to 17 games there. Can't get there, Dan. Great season, champion, but not undefeated.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment. We'll figure out the stakes of this wager, but I'm all in on it. We will take a short break in the meantime. You mentioned Aaron looking at it. Breeze, once upon a time, was the first pick in the second round of the draft. Winston, of course, was the first pick in the first round of the draft. Go ahead, Dan. We didn't get much from you in this. Again, just on Breeze. It's the position you play. I know how much you admire him and the way he played it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I love that out of Mike T. It's interesting. I want to share a story about Drew Brees. So when I was getting recruited out of Connecticut to go to college, one of my visits was Purdue. Drew Brees was actually my host when I visited Purdue. Again, like I'm a 17-year-old high school senior here, and he, during that Friday or Saturday of the visit, he's like, hey, I want to go throw. I want to go work out. Drew Brees is this maniacal worker, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm going to come. So he went and decided to go throw with one of the receivers that played with him. Again, I think I'm 17, 18 years old. I think I'm the greatest thing in the world. I'm getting recruited by Purdue. And I'm watching this workout, and like within 10 minutes of the workout, I'm watching Drew throw, and I'm like, holy fudge, this dude does not miss. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to Purdue because I'm not nearly as good as this guy. And I think that Dom said at the beginning of the show that it was like the accuracy stood out. I remember playing a game in the NFL against Drew Brees where we went up 7-0 against the New Orleans Saints, and he proceeded to have like 24 straight completions against us. It was like watching a 7-on-7 on air, 7-on-none.
I mean, the world is already easy enough for quarterbacks. We don't need to make excuses for them. When you get to a situation and it doesn't work out, maybe you need to move on. But assuming that Drew Brees was going to be Drew Brees that we know now, no matter where he went, I think is not a fair representation of his career. It is not fair to Sean Payton. Because oftentimes people say, well, if the Dolphins would have picked up Drew Brees when they had Saban, that maybe the Dolphins would be some perennial power and Drew Brees would still be a Hall of Famer. I think it is probably more likely that Drew Brees would have failed in Miami under Nick Saban because Sean Payton is special. So I think Drew Brees is unique and it's worth celebrating today. But let's not pretend like the only reason why players didn't succeed in the first place was because they needed more time. Sometimes it's about being in the right situation. He was fortunate enough that it seemed like only one team wanted him, and that team also was the perfect situation for Drew Brees.
It's a fair way of looking at it, and we can talk more about it. But the marriage between Sean Payton and Drew Brees is one of the most successful in the history of the sport. Yeah. Sean Payton actually will be a guest with me on my radio show a little later today, so we'll talk about that. Meanwhile, Graziano, let's run the hurry up. Huge week in the league. What's up with Aaron Jones?
Yeah, Greeny, today's theme is keeping your great team together. The Green Bay Packers able to sign running back Aaron Jones to a 4-year contract before he hit the free agent market. A very important signing for them as an offensive helper to Aaron Rodgers. We've talked a lot about Aaron Rodgers' supporting cast. Green Bay doing what it can to keep it together. We'll see if they can retain their center, Corey Linsley, and what they do on the free agent market at wide receiver. The Chiefs trying their best to keep things together after having to cut a couple of offensive linemen.